Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our international free webinar. First, I want to thank you all who always join with us because you all are the gems in our webinar. Once again, I am Miss Alma, core volunteer and head of campus ambassador in IGP. IGP is a non-profit institution of global professionals, serve students and community teachers, providing holistic social work and education. So we held this webinar for knowledge seekers who are joined with us for learning. We expect that you all are getting a little bit benefited in personal and professional life, and we wish that you all are remaining with us in long journey. I am cordially welcoming you all. Enjoy and stay with us. Today we are presenting the webinar 66 on You Are Essential with speaker William Brown, and we have already completed 68 webinars successfully. So let's start our program. Our speaker is William Brown. William Brown is the workshop facilitator, breakout leader, and also a author. He primarily helps women solopreneurs and future entrepreneurs gain an actionable awareness of themselves. That's why they can show up authentic in their work and their relationship and for their themselves. Please give a warm welcome to William Brown. Hello, sir.
Hello. I am honored to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, I'm ready to go. Thank you for everyone that being a part of this. This is You Are Essential. As was mentioned, I am William Brown from IamWilliamBrown.com, a self-awareness coach. And so within this conversation, I invite you to just embrace that you are essential and everything that means for you. And so within this conversation, I'm just going to invite you to get an awareness of yourself and how you're showing up for other people. So first, I want to let you know that everything that I say is not the truth. I want you to embrace it like they are seeds. So there are seeds that we eat, right? There are seeds that we just eat up. So it is something that we have. There are seeds that we hold on for later. We put them in our pocket and we decide what we're going to do with them later. And then there are some seeds that are just for the birds, right? They're just, we just throw them away. So everything that I say, I want you to consider it seeds. It's something that you can take in noun, something for later, or something that you can just throw away. So just put in the chats that they're just seeds. It's just seeds. But there, within this conversation, there is going to be a series of questions and things that I want you to consider so you can get an awareness of yourself. So you are essential. So that we're on the same page, so that we're communicating at the same level, I want to look at what I mean by you. Right? Many times you is seen as just a general person, just the essence of yourself, to really just really look at something beyond you, right? Something just like that. So it's the general sense of yourself. And what essential means is I want you to kind of see it as of utmost importance. So this is very important. There's a lot of things that are happening within in our world that is essential for us to do that. So if to see yourself as essential. So here's the invitation. The invitation is that you are of the utmost importance. I want you to sit with that for a moment. You are of the utmost importance. And so the more that we really embrace that That's the invitation within this presentation, within this conversation that we're having, that you are of the utmost importance. And that is the conversation. So a little bit about me. And so there's a question mark around that, because as I go through these photos here and I share a little bit about, my life and who I am, I want you to kind of see yourself in this. I want to see the you in my introduction, or the way that I share myself. I was born in the States, in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to a single parent. And, as you can see, I loved CNC, the CNC toy, and I loved being a cowboy and all those things. And so there was this curiosity and just how I could show up. So that was what I felt was you. I was quiet. I was shy. I was small. Throughout my school age, I was a very thoughtful kid, or, some people would call me pensive, right? Would always be looking at ways of figuring something out. And so within that, I grew up to be a very thoughtful and considerate person. So within this conversation here, there's a lot of thought around that. And so I want you just to see, how were you showing up as a child? If you can write that down or share that within the comments, that is there a part of you that you recognize or that you embrace as a child, and so that it still shows up for you today? I'm married. I've been married for about 30 years now, and I have 4 adult children. Wasn't able to get the one of my children all together at one time, so I just put them in. So with that, so that is a large part of how I show up in the world. Everything is how is connected to my marriage, is connected to my family, is connected to my work. So that is a little bit about me. And I have been a technology consultant, and then I moved into looking at being a coach and a self-awareness coach. And the main reason why I moved into the self-awareness aspect of it from the technology side is because technology and how we relate to technology is very important, but who we are and how we show up for ourselves is even more important. So here's the first thing that I want you to consider when you look at yourself. Your relationship with yourself is the same as your relationship with everything. Now, I want you to sit with that for a moment. Remember, it's just a seed. So if that is something that you can embrace right now, I invite you just to say yes, right? Just to say yes within the comments, that your relationship, or my relationship with myself, how I see myself, how I relate to myself, is how I relate, or my relationship with a lot of other things. Many times that is an indication of how you show up in the general you. And so if this is something that maybe right now it would be difficult for you to embrace, I invite you to just say, no, I don't think so. I relate to myself differently than other things, and put that in there in the comments also. And so here's the next thing. That's what makes you you. Many times I ask the question, or there's a question um, that it's like, who are you? I know sometimes if you're out there within in business or sometimes in the family, it's like, who are you? Right? And sometimes that question is not a place of discovery. It's a it's almost an indictment, right? Trying to realize who you are and how you show up in the world. And so the question that I'm asking and that I'm asking you to look is that what makes you you? And so I created, a book, a children's book. And the reason why I wanted to have fun with it is, finding you beyond what protects you. Many times, how we show up, what I call labels, and I will explain that a little more. Of our labels are just the expressions that are labels of being a male or female, or of of young, old, right? The labels that we show up as if we're married or single. Those are a number of different ways that we show up, and then we show up that way. And so I created a character, Will, with his advisor Sam the owl, because he's so wise, to really look at finding you, looking at you beyond what protects you, because our labels, or the way that we show up, protects us, and it keeps us from ourselves. And sometimes our protecting of ourselves keeps us from really understanding who we are. As a child, I really embraced Dr. Seuss. And Dr. Seuss would say, "Today you are you, and that's truer than true. There's no one alive that's youer than you." And the more that we're able to really embrace that even with all the people in the world, there is no one like you. And who are you, right? What makes you you? Who are you? And the more that you understand who you are, the more you'll be able to show up beyond your labels, beyond the ways that you are needed. So, can you embrace that there is no one youer than you? And I see that there people are happy, right? I'm trying. There's a lot of things happening on this side, so I want to acknowledge that all of the comments and all the things that people are responding to, and to go from there. So here's another seed that I want you to look at, because in the self-help, self-awareness, self-development, personal development space, there is this way of thinking that there is the best self, right? There is a better self. And what I'm inviting you to do with this statement is, instead of showing up or trying to show up as your best self or looking for your best self, why not just embrace that being yourself, when we are ourselves, that is our best. That is our best. And when we're not being our best self, or whatever that means, we are not being ourselves. So I wonder if people will accept that. Just write in the comments, I accept that when I am myself, I am my best. However that is. However that is. Because I really want people, and I want you to consider that you are whole and complete. You are whole and complete, and in this moment and at this time, you are not totally aware of your completeness. It doesn't mean that you're missing anything. You're just not aware of it yet. And so the more that you show up as yourself, the more that you gain awareness of your completeness. So let's just sit with that with a second. That you, when you are yourself, you are your best self. So being you in your work, right? I would love, most of the time, we see ourselves in our work. That's who we are. How we show up in our work dictates who we are. And that is something that I want you to look at. And I'll tell you a little story. You know, I mentioned that I was in technology, and technology is an exciting, stressful. There's a lot of ways that technology shows up for me. The technology industry shows up for me. But I was seen as the tech guy, the AV guy, the computer guy. And that was my identity. That's who I thought I was. And so every interaction, even at home, I was like the tech guy at home. Anytime the internet would go down or some electronic would go down, I would take on this role as the tech guy. And I saw myself as that. And I didn't see who I was beyond that. Let me know if who you are in your work is kind of causing you to not see who you are. Because I believe when we really embrace the you that Dr. Seuss talks about, right? The you are the you, the only one person in this world that shows up, then we can make a difference in our work. Then we can stand out. Then we can make the difference. But too often, our work, the task, our assignment, our role becomes our identity, and then we lose ourselves within that. So how can you be you within your work and not allow your work become you? It sounded like a riddle. Sometimes when I read Dr. Seuss, everything becomes rhymey, right? And that is the case. So put in the comment that yes, William, I totally get how I show up in my work. That is who I am, or that's who I believe that I am. And the wonderful thing and the difficult thing about that is that even within our work, even if we're successful in our work, that's still not who we are. We can be successful in that, and that is not who we are. And just be okay with that. And just be able to be aware that there is more to that than that. Brene Brown says that who we are is how we lead. And many times in our work, and the reason why I wanted to bring this quote with Brene Brown, there's a lot of things that she says, and I got this from Dare to Lead, her book from a year or so ago, Dare to Lead by Brene Brown. Many times, I believe we don't lead, we don't show up as the leaders that we need to be in our organizations because there is not this awareness of self. We don't show up as ourselves, we show up as the label of leader. right? So the label as leader causes us to show up as the leader and not ourselves, and then we will not lead in that. So the more that we are willing to say, what about me, my experiences, who I am, my desires, all the things that is an indication of who we are, right? How can that show up in my work so I can lead? And most of the times we are leading first ourselves, right? We are leading, we are following our leading. I've embraced my intuition. I don't know about you, but I believe that my intuition is leading me to where I need to be, trusting myself. It is myself inviting myself to live my life. I invite you to put trust, in the comments that I trust myself, or you don't, and say, hey, I have a hard time trusting myself or trusting my intuition, leading myself forward. So here's something that I call the same game. That this institute, this time of learning, we are learning more about ourselves. We are getting practical skills that we can use in our business, in our life. So I am going to invite everyone that is on today to really take on this label as a lifelong learner, right? So we're going to play the same game. So how that is that we're going to take a label, we're going to take a way of being, and then we're going to see how we're all the same. So I'll invite you at this moment is to write down the top 3 qualities of a lifelong leader. Learner. A lifelong learner. A lifelong learner. So you're always learning. So write down the top 3 qualities of a lifelong learner, because we're always learning, or I believe. All right. So write down that. Okay, so you have that. Now, I want you to share within the comments, your number one quality of a lifelong learner. What is that? So I'm going to look in the comments to see. So confidently, I think that's good. That trust is number one. So I get that, right? So traditional. So it's kind of, there's like a delay. Competent. I love that. That is good. And that is a good thing. Resilient. That's a good one. Also, well, they're all good. There's no good or bad here. But the reason, what I want people to recognize, that even within us taking on this one label, right? There are a number of different number ones. There's a number of different number ones. Compassionate. That's one of my core values. So I totally get that. Motivated. I get that also. So I want you to recognize and see that even though we're all the same, right? We've taken on this label as lifelong learner. There are a number of different number ones. And it doesn't mean that if what other people's number one is not your number one, it doesn't devalue it. It's just a part of it. And are you willing to allow people to show up whatever their number one is? Are you willing to show up in your number one in this environment? Most of the times when the people that I coach, there is this concern that it comes out in this quote here. The self-awareness is not self-centeredness, and spirituality is not narcissism, because I believe that the self-discovery journey that we are on is a part of our spiritual journey, however that looks like for you. But to know thyself is not narcissist. It's not a pursuit of being a narcissist. It is really to help you understand who you are so you can show up within that. So the question is, does being this label of lifelong learner, does it currently feel like you have to be that and not yourself? Right? Do you believe that there is a disconnect between, okay, I'm a lifelong learner and this is, I'm not that all the time, so I need to do all of these things to make sure that I stay that? Are you feeling that? Sometimes, I'll speak for myself. Sometimes I feel that because I've taken on this label or I've taken on this role, that I gotta be this all the time. And I beat myself up or I judge myself when I don't show up that way. And so I recognize, do you feel like, hey, I need to be a lifelong learner all the time? And so here's a difficult question, or it may be a difficult question, and sometimes it is a difficult question for me. Do you currently believe belonging, being a part of this label, being a part of this way of showing up, is more important than being yourself? Because sometimes even though the good ways that we show up, that who doesn't want to be a lifelong learner, right? Who doesn't want to learn more about your life, the people that you're around, your business, the way you're showing up? But that's not you totally. And so here's the invitation. The invitation is to care about yourself. Care about yourself more than others. And I know that's kind of strange. Just a little bit more. On the plane, there is, when the oxygen mask comes down, right? The instructions are, put your mask on first so you can help others, right? Don't help anybody else first before. But there are many times that for me, that I want to help someone else. I want to care about someone else. I want to make sure that other people are taken care of before myself. And in that time, I lose myself. My identity is caught up in that caring of. And so what I'm inviting you to do is to care about yourself just a little bit more, just a little bit more. I'm not saying I don't want you to not care for other people. I want you to care. Let's look at it this way. I want you to care about other people, right? But I want you to care about yourself a little bit more. Because if you care about yourself a little bit more, then how you show up for yourself will help you be able to show up for other people. So Um, I want you to put in the comments, I will care about myself. I will care about myself. So sometimes that's even hard to write and hard to even embrace. But that's the invitation. So here's another seed, and this is something that I want you to consider. Is that you don't get to decide who you are going to be. You decide if you will be. I'll say that again. You don't get to decide who you are going to be. You decide if you will be. And so this is what I mean by that. I believe that we all are unique expressions of God. And so within that understanding that we are whole and complete, and as I said before, that we are not currently aware of our completeness, but we get to decide if we are going to be ourselves. The more that we are willing to be ourselves, then we are essential. There is a saying that I'm looking for my purpose. I have a purpose, right? I want you to embrace that you are purpose. Because you are alive, because you are here, because you're in this form, it's because there is a purpose. You came to this world with a purpose. You are purpose. And with that purpose, you are essential. And so the only way that we do not really embrace that we are essential is that we lose ourselves. We do not show up as ourselves, right? The decision isn't who we are, right? It's if we're going to be. And sometimes in our society, it is very difficult. Sometimes for me, I'll speak for myself. I don't know if you can say if it's difficult or not. That because we have people that we love and the people that we care about, that feel like they know us. But I believe that we know us, but are we willing to sit quiet and ask us the questions? Ask ourselves the questions and listen. Ask and listen to these questions. Self-awareness is the ability to take an honest look at your life without any attachments to being right or wrong or good or bad. Can you look at your life? Can you look at yourself in the mirror and honestly say, there's nothing right or wrong about my life. There's nothing good or bad about my life. I'm just going to be in my life. Because the more that we are just who we are, right? The more that we are just who we are, the more that people will get us. There is sometimes that I feel that I don't know if you've had this feeling before, that you are, in a group or at work or maybe even in your family, that nobody's listening to me, no one understands me, no one got what I was trying to say. I invite you to consider that when people don't get you, it's because you didn't show up. Your representative showed up. Your label showed up. Your label of, this is how I was supposed to be with my family. This is how I was supposed to be, the expectation of how I'm supposed to be within my work or a relationship. The more that we can let all of that go, no attachments, and just be, then we show up. Now, I love this part. I've been talking about label makers, right? I've been talking about labels throughout this conversation, and some of you are probably are thinking, it's like, what does labels really mean? And it's really the invitation is to look at a way of being, a way of showing up that is not yourself, so that we can separate ourselves. So if you see yourself as, I don't know why lazy is coming up, right? Lazy, fearful, your, emotions, maybe your nationality, right? Your gender, that. And so if you kind of put all those labels on yourself, and it is a way that you are feeling that that's the way that I need to show up. I need to show up for me. I need to show up as a Black man, right? A man, and everything that means. So that is the label. So I am going to be that, and then there's another label, then there's another label, and then I'm not speaking, the labels are speaking. The Black man is speaking, the entrepreneur is speaking, the fill in the blank. We're labels. We put labels on ourselves, and then we put labels on other people. That's what our brain does. So we have to identify that something. But the more that we take it from, the identification, the label on this is a pen, right? This is a pen because we said this is a pen, right? And all of the things that it can do. But what do I make this mean? What do I make this pen mean? I can make this pen mean that it helps me get out my thoughts. It helps me relieve stress. And so we're always making labels. We're always doing that. And we're always trying to live up to that. So labels aren't good or bad. They are not good or bad. It's what you make them mean. And the reason why I have an asterisk around that is because I don't believe, and this is kind of, I don't want to say this is kind of crazy, but I love that self-love. Yes, it is about self-love to get beyond that. I don't believe that my you-ness, your you-ness, makes labels good or bad, or brings meaning to labels. I believe the labels label themselves. I know that sounds kind of crazy. So let's just say when we take on, let's say a gender, our understanding of gender role, male. As soon as I take on the gender label male, then I make that mean that this is what male means to me, or man. This is what this label means because of society, because of how it relates to other things. I make that mean. It means that. And so it's not you. It's what society is, what other people do that and do that. And so the more that we can embrace, so here's the invitation within it, that we are our labels and we're not our labels at the same time. So then we can observe, we can become aware of when we're being ourselves and when we're being the label. And there's nothing wrong with being a label. There's nothing wrong. But the more that you can recognize that there's a difference, then you can make a difference. You can be essential. So here's a question about how you put labels on other people. What or how do you see people? So the question is, do you see their labels, or can you see them? Or does it take time to see them? I think it's, and for me, it's, sometimes, it's showing up in the chat, and it's like, yeah, it's like there are times where I can see beyond someone's labels because I want people to see beyond my labels, right? It's like that grace thing, right? Grace for grace. I have grace and I want to extend grace. And there's nothing wrong. There's no judgment. There is so many times that how we see people or what we see in people will determine how we relate to them. Remember, as I spoke before about how we relate to each other, how we relate to ourselves is how we relate to everything. And so, as was mentioned before, that it's about self-love. It's self-awareness and self-love. If we can have a level of self-love, then we can extend that love. Our relationship with ourselves turns into that, our relationship to others. And so within that, how we see people, can you trust what you think you see? Can you trust what you think you see? Because there are some times that, I will speak for myself. And you may find this for yourself too, that I hide. I label myself as an introvert. And sometimes when I'm in public settings and I'm thinking, I'm trying to, feels like I need to conceal, who I am to protect myself, right? Finding you beyond what protects you, right? So how do I do it? So I will invite you to kind of just look. Can you see behind when people are hiding? Can you trust yourself when you're in the mirror? There was the other day, I was in the mirror without my glasses on, and I didn't recognize myself. And it was a bizarre moment because I usually see myself with glasses on. And so there was a way that I see myself that I was like, oh, this is who I am. This is how this is how I look. And I looked at myself without my glasses on, and it was like, whoa, who are you? And it's like sometimes that's how people show up for us, that we're expecting to see something and we see something else. So are we willing to trust what we think we see to allow us to see the person? So many times there are people in our lives, the people that we work with, the people in our homes that will tell us they know how we should show up, how we should be. And so anyone who tells you how to show up or how to live your life, they don't know you. And the same, you can't tell anybody else. Well, you can, but really telling somebody else how they should live, how they should show up, it really has nothing to do with you. And so how can we be on what I call this self-discovery journey alone with others? So how can I share what I'm learning about myself, how I feel that I'm showing up, this actionable awareness of self, that I want to be myself, that I want to honor myself, that I want to show up in purpose and be present to the people that are in my life, but still listen and relate to what other people say about my life and how I'm showing up in it. So remember, this is a seed. Just put in the comments that I agree, or I disagree. This is a place not of rebellion, right? This is a place of freedom. And so I have a framework around beyond your labels, living beyond your labels that I want to share. I've been talking a lot about awareness, being aware of how we're showing up, all the different labels, all the different ways that we're showing up, so we can do that. The next step is appreciation. You know, the reason why we show up a certain way is because there's a benefit in showing up that way. There's a benefit. Sometimes there's a benefit of showing up as a jerk, right? There's a benefit of showing up as a nice guy. There's a benefit when a man shows up or a woman shows up, and just embrace that, acknowledge that, appreciate that, and then move to embrace and just kind of be with that. Recognize the appreciation, of that. And then surrender that, to let you know that, look, I'm this and I'm not this. You don't have to be that, and accept that that's the reality of that. So what a part of yourself and the way that you're showing up as a lifelong learner, we'll stay with that label, because I'm sure that there's a lot of other ways. What way can you appreciate that? Put in the comments how you can appreciate being a lifelong learner. It's like so many times I put things in my speaking that trip me up. Lifelong learner. So put in ways that you can appreciate that about yourself. How can you benefit from that? So what part of that, this label that you are now currently willing to surrender? Never feel that you have to do anything. There's a willingness to do it. And the more that you embrace that there is a willingness to let something go, to be something else, then you have a say in your life. So for me, I have what do you call I don't know, something that I don't like to tell people that I do. I like mindless comedies, right? Anytime that I don't want to learn anything, I just want to laugh and kind of a guilty pleasure. That's what it is. I don't know why I couldn't think of a guilty pleasure. Do you have a guilty pleasure or something? And it is sometimes because there's so much a part of me that I like to learn things, that I love to I really love that about myself. I appreciate that about myself. But there's sometimes I don't turn that off. And so I have to really embrace like senseless comedies or something and just laugh. And it's like, yeah, I didn't learn anything right there. This is just nuts. So here's another thing. And so we're landing this plane here, and so I want you to do this because you are essential. The actionable awareness of you is essential. It's like when your labels, whatever labels they are, become a prison, really confine you. You feel like you can't let them go. It's time for you to, that's the moment that it's time for you to live beyond them. That's the time. That's the warning sign. Is there any label that you have that you feel that I can't let that go? And so this is a concept that I want to explore a little more. That most of the times when people feel that when you're having this self-awareness conversation or the self-discovery, you're being selfish, and why are you doing this? And I really want you to embrace that the more that we know about yourself, the more that we know about ourselves, the more that you know you, the more that you can be available for others, the more that you can be a part of the world, the more that you can make a difference in the world. Many times we don't make a difference in the world is because we don't have an awareness of ourselves and we do not show up. That's what I want you to take on. So it all starts with your desires. What impact do you want to make in the world, in your world? And what I mean by in the world or in your world is in your area of influence. Right now, within your home, that's a world. We create worlds with our language, right? So what impact, what difference do you want to make? Write that down, share that. Share that in the comments. What difference, what impact do I want to make in my world? Because you are purpose. And put another way, what is your everything? And so I know that may seem confusing, but everything, that it would mean everything to you. Just kind of look within yourself. If there was a change, if there was improvement in this area in the world, if it was, more people were fed, no one, the homeless, right? There wasn't people living on the streets. there was less wars, whatever. When you really look at your desires, what is your everything that you would want to see change, or you would want to make a difference in that area? Embrace that. Write down that in the comments if you can. That would mean the world to me. That would change the world if you were able to make a difference in that area. Because I want you to embrace this. The world wants you. The world needs you. And the world isn't waiting for you, right? When we create a world, it's just going. Now it exists. So go be you. The more that you embrace that, I am going to be myself. I am going to live my life. I am going to make a difference in the world. I am going to make a difference in my relationships. I am essential. A part of that. Then we can show up, even when it's difficult, even when we feel like we don't have all the answers. There are some answers that we don't get until we make a move, until we take a step. Is there anything stopping you? That is the question. Is there anything stopping you? So you don't have to put that in the comments. You can write that down for yourself. But the more that we realize what is stopping us, the more that we can make a different choice or decision around that. So I have some resources for you, a special offer for you that I want to share. That Discovering You. You can go to this link, discoveringyou.now.site, and get an assessment to just learn a little bit about yourself. There are a number of different books that I've read, and maybe you have read this book for yourself. But Insight and Bring Your Whole Self to Work and Untethered Soul, those are great books to kind of give you access to yourself. There's a lot more, out there, but I want you to do that. There's another way that you can connect with me. I do a daily, or I do a show, One Word Conversations. It's a self-discovery, relationship building conversation, and just invite you to unpack one word at a time within the conversation. And mainly because, as I said, we create worlds with our words. And many times our words have stories, and our words have emotions and feelings and all that. And it's so much more than the definitions. So I do that. So you can go to YouTube or Facebook. That it is Disconnect Conversations, and see on that. Or you can reach out to me at IamWilliamBrown.com, and different ways that you can connect with me on there. So we are in an hour, and so this is the time that I wanted to if you had any questions, I know I shared a lot for you, and most of the times that I have people within the room with me, and so with doing this online, this is great. But I'm going to look in the comments, and if there's any questions, we can go there, um, and and go from there. So let's see if there's any questions that you have. I'm going to go back to the beginning there, and kind of I'll stay there. So just let me know if you found value. If you can just put value in the comments that you found value in my sharing. If I was able to help you recognize, or at least have you consider that you are a consider. Thank you, Jasmine. I would love to connect with you and to do that. But if you can just consider, if you can consider that you are essential, you are purpose. And the more that you are able to embrace that you can unleash your potential, unleash your purpose within your world. I just realized there's other questions that are being asked within your favorite season, and in that. So, yeah. So, thank you. Very informative. I'm trying to. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I know there is, when I do an international kind of talk, there's a number of different times during the day that people are, and hope you are able to get that. Yes, you are purpose and you are essential. You're welcome. I'm getting a lot of thank you. How do you motivate yourself as a self-awareness coach? Especially in those drowning moments. That is a great question. There are many opportunities that I, even as a self-awareness coach, that I lose awareness of myself. And and what I can do that. So you're going to put if you're Nikki, I'm going to respond to yours. So I'm going to go over that. So what I do is I take a moment, I take a breath. I have a 1 minute meditation practice that I incorporate, that it's just like, sometimes it's just a breath and just like, okay, this is temporary. This is temporary. I am purpose. What can I do in this moment? So yeah, that's what I do. And I invite you to find that for yourself, because as I said, you are whole and complete, and you can go from there. So the best way to discover your true self, I think, Nikki, thank you for the question, is just being quiet and just getting aware of who's listening, right? because a lot of people, there's a saying, and I think it's also in the Untethered Soul, in that book, where it talks about what we call self-talk, right? What we call self-talk is not really self-talk. It's what I believe is our label talk. Our self is who's listening. And so when we recognize who's listening, so let's just say a thought goes through your head that, and I don't know why I'm just saying, it's like you're a terrible person, right? Um, and it's like, okay, I just heard that I'm a terrible person. Do I believe that? What do I say about that? I have a choice after I hear that. And when I can either say, depending on the state that I'm in, right? And most of the times I believe the state that we're in is through meditation, is through rest, it's through meals, it's through how we take care of our whole self, right? We can go from there. So the more that we recognize who's listening, and then we can respond to that. Okay, great question. How can we be aware that self-love is not leading to self-centeredness? Right. So the love that we have, that's a great question, because most of the times, when I'm talking to my clients, they feel they have been so disconnected from who they are, right, themselves, that any awareness of themselves, any liking of themselves, even standing up for themselves, turns into I'm centered on myself. And so I'm inviting you to really kind of love all of you, not just what you like about yourself. Like that, what, I can be a jerk sometimes, like that I can be, I can not be a good listener, all the other things that you may not want to share. Really embrace that, love that, give space for that, give grace for that, will allow you to not center on yourself, but then extend that love to other people. So it's a practice. It's called a practice for a reason, because you get opportunities to love yourself and love other people. And I think in some cases you'll feel when it is when your love or your self-awareness is self-centered, right? It's because there's a feeling, for me, there's a feeling of scarcity. When I feel self-centered, when I'm like showing up as self-centered, there's a scarcity mindset that comes over me. That it's like, I have to protect, right? I have to do this. So yeah. So check your feeling. Check how you're feeling. If there's an abundance, then your self-love is available for other people. If it feels there's a scarcity, then it's self-centeredness. So thank you. That was a great question. Great. It's like I'm glad that you felt it was interactive. Sometimes I get concerned because I'm so used to hearing people speaking, and that's why I have my headphones on. It's like I'm not talking to anybody, but I still have my headphones on. So I'm so used to hearing the responses. So that's good. I would love to hear the biggest takeaway your biggest takeaway of this webinar. What was your biggest takeaway? If you could take away one thing that you are essential, what is one thing that you got from this time? This time, what's your biggest takeaway? I would love for you to share that. And yeah. Yeah, this was great. There is a feeling that I had that I'm not answering. Thank you for answering. Oh, I appreciate that. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Realize that you, not your situation, are essential. Everything that you feel. Yes. Live our purpose. Great. 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 I appreciate that. Right. We know ourselves so we can be a benefit, not just to ourselves, but to others. Yeah, sometimes we miss that. And so the biggest conversations that I have within, my coaching conversations is that there are 3 areas that I want you to get aware of how you're showing up. How you're showing up in your work, how you're showing up in your relationships, and how you're showing up for yourselves. Because if any one of those areas are out of whack, right? Or out of balance, it can get you that drowning, that drowning feeling, that feeling that, your identity is in question. I share with people sometimes that what we call identity crisis, right? It's, sometimes in the States, how that shows up is that, we get to a certain point and it's like, oh, I'm not going to be this, I'm going to be that. And I have to buy a new car, or I, make these major changes in my life, to kind of live up to this new identity crisis, that they say. But there's a difference when your identity is in crisis. Who you think you are is now falling apart around you, or is not really really inviting you to show up. So really recognize that you have a say. You have a say. Even though there's a lot of wonderful people that are in your life, and that is my prayer, that you do have people around you that love you and care for you, and embrace you and accept you and celebrate you, not your labels, right? I'm using you. And right? When someone loves, appreciates, accepts you and not your labels. And so you're connected. So that is my prayer, that you have that in your life. And the more that you have that in your life, the more that you're able to show up in your life, the more that you're able to be your purpose in your life. So Yeah. I'm so used to people talking to me. So I'm trying to read, and the comments are going up so fast, and it's like, um, yeah, so it's like they're not responding to me; they're responding to the other thing. So I'm looking at. So what is the one thing? So your takeaway. What is the one practical thing that you're going to put in action today or tomorrow? It may be the evening for you. But what is the one thing from this conversation, this webinar today, that you're going to put into practice? Is there one thing? Is there one thing that you're going to put into practice? And practice is you're just going to try it on, right? You're just going to try it on. How can I be myself today? How can I be myself? Oh, love myself more. Got it. I got that. Kim, thank you. Um, um, Focus on your goals. That's good, right? I am essential. Love that. You are of the utmost importance. You're of the utmost importance. Self-love, self-care, more. Got it. Love myself. Yes, got it. Yeah, believe in yourself. Great. Practice self-love. Yeah, there's self-care. Um, it's more than an industry, but sometimes it shows up as an industry. And a number of years ago, when I would think of self-care, it was like, bubble baths and candles, right? That's what self-care was. And it was like, I don't have time for that. And I've embraced that self-care is caring for yourself. And the only way that you can care for yourself is to know yourself. And the only way to know yourself is to sit with yourself, right? Find those times to really say that I love me, even the me that I don't quite know or understand yet. And from that place, you have care. Yep. I'd love to put in the comments what self-care means to you. The science of self-love. I've never heard that before. That's a great, it's like, yeah, the science of it all. Yeah, really embrace that self-awareness. So, yeah, what does self-care mean to you? Got it. I love me. I love that. Great. Yeah, that is great. Self-care is fighting for my profession. Yeah, I got that. Priority, right? The utmost importance. You are the utmost important. Yeah, sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes there is a level of guilt. There's a level of guilt associated with taking care of yourself. I don't know. I feel that, right? It's like many times I feel like I'm on a balance of, this is self care or I'm goofing off, right? You know, um, and so I'm being a slack. So really, yeah, self care means loving oneself. Yeah, really embracing that. Hmm, that you are top of everything. I got that. So sometimes when we say, I ask my sometimes I'll ask the people that I'm coaching that within the coaching conversation is that a list, top three lists of the most important people in your life. Top three lists. Top three. Just three. Doesn't mean that you don't have more than three. Just the top three. And as they go through that. And so I invite you to do that for yourself. Write down the top three most important people in your life. Right? And within that conversation, I say, are you on that list? Are you in the top three? No judgment. Are you on the top three? There are many times that we are not even on the top three or on the list at all because we're so um, great. You're on the list. Great. Um, many times there are many people that are not on the list. And so I want you to always remember that whatever list that you have, that you're on it. I would like to say, yeah, you need to be number one on the list, right? um, but sometimes you just need to be on the list. You just need to be on the list. So yeah, this is a number of ways that you can connect with me. So I would love to connect. But so if you're not on the list, the inquiry is why not? Why aren't you on that list? No judgment. There's no judgment. Remember, it's not good or bad, right or wrong. It just is. The more that you recognize that it just is, the more that you can give yourself space to make different decisions, different choices. So, yeah. Hello.
Thanks, sir, for giving a valuable insight on how much we are essential in our own life.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. I I really enjoy the interaction here, and I really pray that there was a level of value that people really show up as essential in their life.
When I read your bio, I think this webinar will be helpful for me. And I hear your podcast on YouTube tomorrow.
And I think audience also benefited with it. We
Well,
learned a lot
thank
from
you.
you and also understand who I am. Just amazing.
Yes. So you got an action. What I say, the actionable awareness of yourself, right? So it is that who I know, right? Who I am right now, I can move in that. And then I will learn more about myself because of my movement. Most of the times we stop, right? It's like, this is who I am, and I just stop here. But we have to stay in action because the world wants us to be in action. So great.
Thank you, sir. Sometimes we feel depressed, sometimes we feel lower, just we feel that we are not anything, we cannot do anything. But you just realize us that we have something to do in
Yeah.
ourselves, for ourselves.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Well, no, I appreciate that. There's a concept of be, do, have, right? Most of the times we are so conditioned to be doing something, right? And so we can have something, and that there's no awareness of the be, right? Who we are. And the more that if we are doing something that is not connected to our being or how we're showing up, then we won't find fulfillment in it. And so the invitation is to know who we are, to know that we're essential, and then there is a doing in our being so we can have the life that we want. Um, and so then we're an essential part in that all.
Thank you, sir. You are obliged to your marvelous presentation and giving us your valuable time. This session will be
Okay.
effective for our audience because you shared your intelligible knowledge with us.
Blessings.
I think audience like your speech and presentation and they are questioning so much and saying thank you to you.
Oh, thank you.
I also
Yes.
feel benefited. I also feel benefited about this webinar because
Oh,
I also face something that create me depressed or just I feel lower. Thank you, sir.
you're welcome.
Dear knowledge seeker, I would love to thank you all from my deep heart for attending today's session. Hopefully, you learned something new and you will implement it in your life. Please leave a review and recommend on our page. If you learned something or we will help you a little bit, please spread the information with your friends. We hope to see you all again next webinar. Thank you so much. Stay happy, stay safe. Our next webinar is on topic on teaching mathematics. You can see on the screen